The day she chose him over me. I kept telling myself to breathe, even while the porch lights glowed across the yard and the whole town gathered around our family's farm-style house. Country music blasted from the speakers, people laughed over barbecue plates, and kids chased each other near the barn. It was supposed to be a happy night for everyone except me. Aiden stood in the center of the crowd, smiling like he owned the whole world. He held Ashley's hands and said, "Ready?" loud enough for everyone to hear. I stood behind the guests, pretending I wasn't paying attention, even though every word stabbed me straight in the chest. Ashley said softly, "Yes, I'm ready." Then Aiden dropped to one knee. The cheering started before he even took out the ring. People whistled, clapped, shouted his name like he was some kind of hero. I just froze. My hands felt cold even in the warm Tennessee evening. "Ashley Carter," Aiden said, dragging the moment out the way he loved doing, "will you marry me?" For a second I prayed she'd look at me. Just once. Just a tiny glance to tell me she still remembered what we had before everything went wrong. But she didn't look at me. She looked at him. And she said, loud enough to echo across the yard, "Yes, I will." The crowd erupted again. My mom ran forward to hug both of them. Ashley's parents cried as if they had finally won something important. Aiden stood up, kissed her hand, and acted like he'd just saved her from a burning building. Ryan nudged me from behind. "You okay, man?" "I'm fine," I whispered. "You don't look fine." I said I'm fine. He didn't believe me, but he didn't push it. I forced myself to clap along with everyone else. My palms felt heavy and numb. Aiden finally noticed me and walked over with Ashley tucked close to his side. "Guess the family has two successes now," he said. "Me with a business and you with, the shop." I kept a straight face. "Congrats." He leaned closer so only I could hear him. "Some men lead. Some follow. It's just how life works." I didn't say anything. I didn't trust myself to speak. Ashley avoided my eyes the whole time. She held her engagement ring with both hands like it was something fragile. Her smile looked perfect for everyone else, but to me it looked forced, like she was acting in a play she didn't audition for. My mom walked over and whispered, "Hayden, can you take a picture of the couple?" "Sure," I said, even though my chest felt like it was caving in. I lifted the phone, focused on the glowing pair, and forced my fingers not to shake. Aiden grinned big, Ashley smiled small, and I captured the moment I wished I could erase. When the picture was done, I handed the phone back and walked away before anyone could stop me. I slipped around the barn and into the open field behind the house. The humid air hit me hard, thick and heavy like it wanted to keep me from moving. Fireflies floated near the fence. Far-off crickets buzzed. The sounds of the party faded behind me until it all felt distant. I sat on the wooden fence and stared at my hands. I remembered the last time Ashley and I talked before she pulled away. We were on this same fence after church one Sunday. She told me she wanted a simple life, a warm home, someone who understood her heart. She told me she felt safe with me. But she also told me her father didn't want her marrying a man with no real future. I just didn't think she'd listen to him. Footsteps came up behind me. It was my mom. "Hayden, honey, why aren't you celebrating?" "I just needed air." She sat beside me. "You know your brother's worked really hard to get where he is." "I know. Ashley will have a good life with him." I swallowed nothing. "Yeah, I'm sure she will." Mom patted my back like everything was normal, then left to rejoin the party. I stared at the night sky for a long time. Stars looked brighter out here, far from town lights. I wondered if Ashley had looked at the stars tonight before saying yes. I wondered if she thought of me at all. The music behind the barn changed to a slow romantic song. People cheered as Aiden and Ashley took their first dance. I heard her laugh, soft, polite, nothing like the real one she used to share with me. "Hayden." Ryan called from behind me. "Come on back. Folks are asking where you went." "I'll be there in a minute," I said. "You don't have to pretend, you know." "Pretend what?" "That this doesn't hurt." I stared at my shoes. "Doesn't matter." She made her choice. Ryan sighed. Maybe she chose something she thought she needed, not someone she loved. His words dug deep, but I didn't answer. He left me alone again and I let the silence settle in. When I finally walked back toward the house, I saw Ashley being passed around between relatives, her ring catching the light, her smile still tight and careful. And that's when it hit me. She didn't choose him. She chose the life her parents pushed her toward. I walked away again, but this time I didn't stop. I kept walking until the house, the lights, and her smile disappeared behind me, leaving me in the dark with nothing but my own heartbeat echoing inside my chest. Burying my heart in work. I spent the next few months living under the hood of every car that rolled into Brooks Auto. Ryan joked I should start paying rent to the engine itself, but I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh at much. People kept asking why I stayed late and I always said, work's easier than thinking. The truth was simpler. If I kept my hands moving, my mind didn't drift back to Ashley's voice saying yes. Every time a customer said her name by accident, either Ashley or something close, I felt my chest tighten like someone was twisting a wrench inside me. Most nights, I'd hear Mom's voice echoing through the house when I stopped by to grab leftover dinner. She always said the same thing. Your brother's doing so well, Hayden. You should see how folks talk about him at church. I'd just nod and answer, yeah, he's got everything under control. Mom never noticed how my hands stiffened whenever she mentioned him or Ashley. She just kept praising them like she was reading from some script. One night she added, their wedding's going to be beautiful. I nearly dropped my plate, but I forced a smile and said I was happy for them. Later that week, Ryan dragged me out for beers at a small bar off the highway. As soon as we sat down, he said, man, you're drowning yourself for nothing. I took a drink and muttered, I'm fine. He slammed his bottle down. No, you're not fine. You're hiding. She didn't fight for you, Hayden. Stop pretending she did. I stared at the neon sign flickering above the counter and whispered, I'm not mad at her. Ryan leaned closer. Then be mad at yourself for caring too much. His words stung, but he wasn't wrong. On the drive back to my apartment, he asked, you ever wonder why Aiden rushed that proposal? I shrugged. Because he likes winning. Ryan shook his head. Because her dad's money saved his business. Everybody knows it but you. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. You're guessing. He sighed. Ask around. Aiden didn't grow his company alone. I didn't answer. I just kept driving, pretending the diesel trucks roaring past were louder than my thoughts. When I pulled up behind the shop, Ryan said softly, man, open your eyes. Then he walked off. Inside my small apartment above the shop, the silence felt heavier than usual. I kicked off my boots and fell onto the cot. My phone buzzed with a message from Mom saying, don't forget to come Sunday. We're discussing wedding plans. I tossed the phone aside. Great, I muttered. More reminders. I stared at the ceiling fan turning slowly. Did she choose him? I whispered. Or did she just choose what was easy? The room didn't answer, but my chest tightened again. I closed my eyes, hoping sleep would come quick, but my mind wouldn't stop. I heard Ashley's laugh from months ago, the way she used to say my name, the way she once told me, Hayden, you're the only person who gets me. Now those words felt like they belonged to someone else. My phone buzzed again, this time Ryan saying, stop blaming yourself. I typed, I'm not, then deleted it. I typed again, I'll try, and sent it. I wasn't sure if it was true, but it was the closest I could get. I lay there listening to the old pipes rattle in the walls, trying to convince myself that this was just a phase, that I'd eventually stop thinking about them. But my mind kept drifting back to what Ryan said about the money. I whispered into the dark, did he love her at all? The question hurt more than the answer. I pushed myself up and stared out the small window overlooking the empty lot behind the shop. The night felt wide and quiet, like it was waiting for me to admit something. I should have said something sooner, I said. I should have told her how I felt. My voice cracked. But I didn't. And now she's gone. The words hung in the air, too heavy for the room to hold. I breathed slowly. The first sign something was wrong. I only went to the grocery store because Ryan kept saying, buy real food, man. Stop living on gas station snacks. I walked in, grabbed a basket, and headed toward the cereal aisle, minding my own business. Then I heard someone whisper, Hayden? I turned around and there she was, Ashley. She wore sunglasses even though we were inside, and her hair looked like she'd tied it in a rush. She tried to smile, but it didn't reach her voice when she said, hey, long time. Ashley? I stepped closer. Why were you wearing shades in here? She laughed softly, too softly. Just tired? Allergies acting up. Her voice shook like she was trying too hard to sound normal. You good? I asked. You don't look fine. I'm fine, she said quickly. Really? Just a lot going on. What kind of a lot? I asked. She opened her mouth like she wanted to tell me something, but no words came out. Instead, she looked at the floor and whispered, Hayden, I? Before she could finish, a familiar voice cut in. There you are. Aiden walked up fast, his jaw tight. He grabbed her arm, not gently, not lovingly, but like he wanted to pull her away before she said anything else. Ashley winced just a little, but I saw it. He glared at me. Didn't expect to see you here. It's a grocery store, I said. People come here. You need something from her? He asked. I looked at Ashley. She kept her head low, her shoulders tense. I was just saying hi. Aiden tightened his grip on her arm. Well, you said it. Let's go. He tugged her toward the exit. Ashley tried to speak. Aiden, wait. Now, he said through clenched teeth. I stepped forward. You don't have to drag her. Aiden turned slowly, eyes cold. Stay out of my business. Ashley whispered, It's okay. I'm okay, but her voice cracked on the last word. You sure? I asked softly. She nodded without looking at me. Please, just let it go. Aiden pulled her away before I could say anything else. I watched them walk out of the store, his hand gripping her arm like she was something he owned. She kept her head down the whole way. I stood there frozen for a minute. A woman pushing a cart glanced at me and said, She don't look okay, sweetheart. I didn't reply. I just walked to the checkout, grabbed the nearest items, paid and left, barely remembering what I bought. Outside the sun felt too bright. I sat in my truck for a while, staring at the steering wheel, replaying the look in Ashley's eyes. Fear. That was fear. I'd never seen it in her before. When I got back to the shop that evening, I tried to distract myself by working on an old Chevy, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Ryan stopped by and asked, You good? You look like you saw a ghost. I saw Ashley, I said. He raised an eyebrow. And? She looked wrong. Ryan leaned against the hood. What did she say? Nothing. Aiden showed up before she could. Ryan muttered, That guy's a damn walking red flag. I know, I said quietly. That night, after closing the shop, I climbed the stairs to my apartment and collapsed on the cot. I couldn't shake the image of her flinching when he grabbed her. I whispered, What the hell is going on with you, Ashley? The room didn't answer. It never did. I tried watching TV. I tried eating. I tried sleeping. Nothing worked. I kept seeing her sunglasses, her trembling voice, the way she whispered, Hayden, before he cut her off. Around midnight my phone buzzed. I reached for it lazily, expecting a message from Ryan or some work notification. But the text was from a blocked number. I made a mistake. I sat up straight. My pulse jumped so hard I felt it in my throat. I stared at the message like it wasn't real. Another buzz followed, a second message. Everything's falling apart. I whispered, Ashley? Even though no one was there. My fingers hovered over the screen. I wanted to call, text, drive to wherever she was, but I didn't know what danger she was in, or what Aiden would do if he knew she reached out. For the first time in months, hope and fear tangled inside me. I whispered again, Ashley, what happened to you? The phone stayed silent, but the two messages kept glowing on the screen, burning into my mind, telling me one thing I couldn't ignore anymore. Something was deeply wrong. And she had reached out to me. The truth behind their marriage. I kept replaying Ashley's messages all morning, so when my phone buzzed again I grabbed it fast. But it wasn't her. It was a name I hadn't seen in years, Megan Blake. Hayden, I'm back in town. Need to talk. It's about Aiden. I stared at the screen, confused. Why me? I wrote back. Her reply came quick. Because you're the only one who won't lie to yourself. That line hit harder than I wanted to admit. I drove to the small diner off Interstate 40, the one with the flickering sign and the strong coffee smell. Megan was already there, sitting in a booth by the window. When she saw me, she waved me over with a nervous smile. Didn't expect you to reach out, I said as I slid in across from her. I didn't expect to come back, she answered. But seeing Ashley yesterday, I couldn't ignore it. You saw her? I asked. How did she look? Megan sighed. Like someone who cries in the shower so no one hears. I felt my jaw tighten. Why did you want to talk to me, Megan? She took a deep breath. Because you need to hear the truth about your brother. I leaned forward. Say it. She hesitated, then whispered. He begged me not to leave him. Even after he got engaged to Ashley. I stared at her. You're serious? He told me the engagement was temporary, she continued, voice shaky. He said he just needed Ashley's dad long enough to fix his business. He thought once the money cleared he could figure out the rest. My stomach twisted. Her father's investment? Yeah, Megan nodded. Aiden was drowning. Contractors quitting, late payments, threats of lawsuits. Ashley's dad saved him. I rubbed my hands over my face. He told everyone he built that company alone. Everyone but the people he used, she said. I was one of them. Now Ashley is too. I swallowed hard. He begged you to stay? Hayden, he told me he loved me the night after he proposed to her. She let out a bitter laugh. Can you imagine? A man promising 2 lives at once. I felt anger rising thick and hot. And Ashley has no idea? Megan shook her head. She thinks he married her because he loved her. She doesn't know she was a business decision. I leaned back, staring at the table. She messaged me last night. Megan's eyes widened. What did she say? That she made a mistake, and everything's falling apart. Megan whispered, she's trapped, Hayden. That girl needs someone to pull her out. I looked at her. And you think that someone is me? You're the only person she ever trusted, she said. Maybe too much. My heart twisted. I thought she chose him over me. She didn't, Megan said softly. She chose the path her family pushed. And Aiden used that. I let out a slow breath. I should have told her how I felt. She didn't need your words, Megan replied. She needed someone who wouldn't hurt her. That was you. I didn't know what to say. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Megan finally added, I'm telling you this because Aiden will destroy her if no one stops him. I stood up. Thanks for telling me. She grabbed my wrist. Don't go after him angry, Hayden. He's good at twisting things. I'm not going after him angry, I said. I'm going after him honest. She let go, whispering, be careful. I walked out of the diner feeling like the ground under me wasn't stable anymore. When I got home, I heard my mom's voice through the open window. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but her tone made me stop. She was crying. Why didn't you tell me earlier, sweetheart? She said. Ashley's voice followed, quiet and shaky. I didn't want to burden you, Sandra. I didn't know who to talk to. Mom sniffled. Your family. You can always talk to me. Ashley whispered, I feel trapped. Like I'm not allowed to breathe in that house. Mom said gently, you're always welcome here. I froze. Hearing Ashley's voice like that made my chest ache. I stepped back before either of them noticed me. I didn't want Ashley to feel embarrassed, and I needed a moment to steady my breathing. By the time I walked inside, Ashley was gone. Mom wiped her tears and smiled at me like nothing happened. Oh, Hayden, you're home early. Was that Ashley? I asked. Mom nodded. Just girl talk. She's nervous about the wedding. That didn't sound like nerves, I said. Mom's smile faded. Some things aren't ours to get involved in, son. Maybe they should be, I muttered. Before she could answer, I turned and headed to the porch. I needed air. I needed clarity. I needed answers. So I drove straight to Aiden's new office. When I walked in, he smirked. Look who finally showed up. What, you want to congratulate me again? I shut the door behind me. Megan told me everything. He laughed. Of course she did. She's still bitter. You used Ashley, I said. Her dad's money saved your company. He leaned back in his chair. And it was a smart business move. She's not a business move, I snapped. He scoffed. She's a great financial boost. Don't act like you're shocked. My hands curled into fists. She loves you. She loves what she thinks I am, he said. That's good enough. I stepped closer. You manipulated her. You trapped her. He laughed again. She walked into that marriage willingly. Not my fault she's naive. I felt the anger burn through me, hotter than anything I'd felt before. For months I'd blamed myself, blamed her, blamed fate. But now I saw the truth clearly. Ashley didn't betray me. Aiden betrayed all of us. I stared at him and whispered, you're going to regret this. He smirked. Only losers regret things. I walked out before I did something I couldn't take back. For the first time since Ashley said yes to him, the pain didn't crush me. Now it fueled me. She showed up in the rain. The storm hit Nashville hard that night. Thunder kept shaking the walls of my tiny apartment above the shop, and rain hammered against the roof like it wanted to break in. I tried watching TV, then tried sleeping, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying everything: Aiden's smirk, Megan's words, Ashley's messages. I finally sat on the edge of my cot, rubbing my face and whispering, what are you doing, Ashley? Where are you right now? Then a loud pounding hit my door. Not knocking. Pounding. I froze. Who the hell? The pounding grew harder. Hayden, please, a voice cried through the storm. My heart dropped. I ran to the door, yanked it open. And Ashley fell straight into my arms. She was drenched head to toe, shaking violently, rain dripping from her hair onto my shirt. Ashley? I grabbed her shoulders. What are you doing out here? It's midnight. She didn't answer. She just collapsed against me and sobbed into my chest. Hey, I whispered, pulling her close. Come inside before you get sick. I guided her in, shut the door and locked it. She stood there trembling, her breath uneven, her clothes soaking my floor. I grabbed a blanket from the cot and wrapped it around her shoulders. Her hands clutched it like she was afraid it would disappear. Sit down, I said softly. You're freezing. She sat on the cot, still shaking. Her voice cracked as she whispered, I didn't know where else to go. I crouched in front of her. Tell me what happened. She shook her head. I can't breathe. Ashley, look at me. I lifted her chin gently. You're safe here. Talk to me. Her lips trembled. He lost it tonight. My stomach tightened. Aiden? She nodded, tears streaming again. He screamed at me. He threw a lamp at the wall. He said I was useless, that I should be grateful he even picked me. I felt heat rising in my chest. He threw something at you? It hit the wall, she whispered. But close. Too close. Did he touch you? I asked, voice low. She shook her head. Not tonight. But he wanted to scare me. And it worked. I stood and paced the room, trying not to punch something. Why did he blow up? What did you do? I asked him why he always comes home late, she said. I asked who he was texting. He snapped. He said he never loved me, that he only needed me until the business stabilized. My hands clenched. He actually said that? She nodded. Word for word. I sat beside her. Ashley, you shouldn't have gone back to that house. I know, she whispered. I know, Hayden. She broke down again, leaning into me. I ran because I thought I'd break if I stayed another minute. I thought he'd hurt me if I didn't leave. I wrapped my arm around her carefully. You did the right thing. She looked up at me, eyes swollen. I got in my car and drove without thinking. This was the only place that felt safe. My chest tightened at her words. I'm glad you came here. Are you? She asked quietly. Or am I just a problem to you? You're never a problem, I said. Not to me. Her breath shook as she whispered, I didn't know who else to trust. You can trust me, I replied, softer than I expected. You always could. For a moment she just stared at me like she was trying to believe that. I stood and walked to the small kitchenette. Let me make you tea. You need something warm. She whispered, stay close. I'm right here, I said, grabbing a mug. Not going anywhere. She kept her eyes on me the whole time I boiled water. When I sat beside her again and handed her the cup, her hands brushed mine. They were ice cold. Drink slowly, I said. You're shaking too much. She took a sip and whispered, thank you for not shutting the door. I let out a breath. Ashley, if you showed up at 3 a.m. or 3 years from now, I'd still open the door. She looked down at the tea. I'm sorry I came like this. I didn't think, I just ran. You don't have to apologize. I do, she insisted. I left you behind. I hurt you. And now I'm here again like I never did anything wrong. You didn't hurt me on purpose, I said. And I'm not thinking about that right now. She wiped her face. I am. I leaned forward. Ashley, you're scared, soaked, and exhausted. Don't fight with yourself tonight. She swallowed hard. When he yelled at me, I kept hearing your voice in my head. My voice. You always said, if something scares you, don't stay alone with it. So I ran. And I came here because I knew. She stopped, breath trembling. I knew you'd catch me if I fell. My throat tightened. I didn't know what to say. She reached out slowly and grabbed my hand with trembling fingers. Please don't send me away. I squeezed her hand gently. I'm not sending you anywhere. Her eyes filled again. I don't want to go back. You're not going back tonight, I said. You can stay here. She let out a shaky sigh of relief and leaned against me again, whispering, thank you, Hayden. As she rested her head on my shoulder, I felt something inside me shift. Something quiet, something painful, something hopeful. Not because she needed me, but because after everything, she still ran to me. A choice I never wanted to make. Ashley woke up on my cot the next morning, wrapped in the blanket, looking exhausted but calmer. I handed her a bottle of water and said, we need to talk to someone who knows what to do. She looked unsure. Who? Tom Hastings, I said. He's helped half this town with legal trouble. Her voice cracked. Hayden, this will get messy. It already is, I said. Let's just see what your options are. She hesitated, then whispered, okay. But, please don't leave me alone in there. I won't, I promised. Tom's office sat between a tax place and a nail salon. When we walked in, he looked up from his desk and raised an eyebrow. Hayden Brooks. Didn't expect to see you here. I nodded toward Ashley. We need your help. Tom's face softened the moment he saw her red eyes. Sit down. Tell me what's going on. Ashley took a deep breath. I think I need to leave my husband. Tom leaned forward. Are you in danger? She nodded slowly. Emotionally. Maybe physically soon. What happened? He asked gently. He threw things. He screamed. He told me I was nothing. Her voice shook. He said he never loved me. Tom exhaled. I'm sorry. Truly. Then he looked at me. You supporting her through this? As much as she needs, I said. Tom nodded. All right, here's the truth. Divorcing a man like Aiden, it'll shake this town. He's respected. People think he's a success story. Some won't believe you. Ashley whispered, I know. But, Tom continued, you absolutely can leave him. You have every legal right. I can file separation papers and a restraining order if needed. Ashley's hands trembled. What will happen to him? Tom shrugged. Depends. If he fights, it'll get ugly. If he accepts it, things might settle quietly. But men with pride rarely accept humiliation. I muttered. He won't accept anything. Tom sighed. Then brace yourself. Ashley looked at me with fear in her eyes. Hayden, maybe I shouldn't do this. I grabbed her hand. Ashley, you can't stay with someone who makes you afraid. But if the whole town turns on me? I won't, I said. I'm right here. Tom leaned back. Take the weekend. Think about it. If you decide to move forward, call me Monday morning. Ashley nodded weakly. Okay. When we walked out of the office, Ashley held onto my sleeve like she was scared the ground might disappear under her feet. You did good in there, I told her. I feel sick, she said. Like everything's falling apart. Sometimes things have to fall apart before you can breathe again. She looked away. Where do I stay now? With Faith, I said. She texted me earlier. She said you can stay as long as you need. Ashley blinked, surprised. She knows? She guessed something was wrong. Ashley sighed. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, I said. Not to the people who care. I dropped her off at Faith's place. When she stepped out of my truck, she paused. Will you check on me tomorrow? I will, I promised. She gave me one last shaky smile before walking inside. As soon as the door closed, my phone buzzed. Aiden. I braced myself and opened the message. Aiden. You think helping her makes you some kind of hero? Another message. You're still a loser hiding behind a woman. Then. Stay out of my marriage or I'll ruin your life. I clenched my jaw. Another message came. She's my wife. She made her choice. You were always second place. I locked my phone before I threw it. I whispered to myself. He's scared. That's why he's saying this. But the words didn't calm me down. Back at the auto shop, I tried working on a truck, but my hands kept slipping. Sarah walked in from the front desk and frowned at me. You okay? She asked. No, I said honestly. She leaned against the hood. Want to tell me why you look like you're about to throw that wrench through the wall? It's Aiden, I muttered. He's threatening me. Sarah raised her eyebrows. Over what? Helping someone who needs help. Is this about Ashley? She asked softly. I didn't answer. That was enough for her. She stepped closer. Hayden, be careful. People like him? They don't fight fair. I know, I said. No, you don't, she insisted. He'll go after your job, your reputation, everything. I sighed. I can't just leave her alone. Sarah shook her head. I'm not saying leave her. I'm saying protect yourself too. Her concern hit deeper than I expected. Thanks, I said. Really? Just promise me you won't do anything stupid, she said. I won't. She stared at me like she didn't believe a word, then walked back inside. That night, I lay on my cot again, staring at the ceiling fan turning slowly in circles. Everything felt too quiet. My mind kept replaying Aiden's threats, Tom's warnings, Ashley's trembling voice. I whispered into the dark, what am I doing? The fan hummed back softly. Am I ruining my life? I asked myself. Or finally doing something right? I closed my eyes, hearing Ashley's voice from the night before. I ran because I thought I'd break. I didn't know if I was strong enough for what came next. I didn't know if the town would turn against me. I didn't know if Aiden would destroy everything I had. But I knew one thing. I couldn't let her face this alone. Even if it broke me too. Aiden's world starts to fall apart. When Ashley called me Monday morning and whispered, I'm ready, I felt something tighten in my chest. I asked, "Are you sure?" And she said, "If I don't do it now, I'll never escape." So I drove her to Tom's office, my hands gripping the steering wheel hard the whole way. She kept staring out the window, whispering, "Please don't let me back out." I told her, "I won't." When she signed the separation papers, her hands shook so much that Tom held the clipboard steady for her. He said gently, "This is the first step. You're doing the right thing." Ashley nodded but didn't speak. When we walked outside, her phone blew up with notifications. She looked pale. "It's starting," she whispered. I said, "Whatever happens, you're not alone." She gave me a tight smile before getting into Faith's car. I barely made it back to the shop before my own phone started buzzing nonstop. Ryan called first. "Dude, what did you two do?" "The town's talking." I sighed. "It's only been an hour." He said, "Well, buckle up. Because people here act like a separation is a national emergency." I rubbed my forehead. "I don't care what they think." Ryan answered, "Good. Because they're definitely thinking things." Then Sarah peeked into the garage. "You okay?" she asked. I muttered, "Not even close." She stepped closer. "Hayden, there are rumors everywhere." I asked, "What kind?" She hesitated. "That you're involved with Ashley." I closed my eyes. "Of course." Sarah whispered, "Just keep your head down. This is about to get ugly." She wasn't wrong. By noon, Aiden's name was trending in every group chat in town. Someone leaked that Ashley had filed for separation. Someone else leaked that investors were backing out of his projects. Megan texted me, "It's starting. He's panicking." Then she sent another message. A screenshot. Aiden texting her, "I miss you. I made a mistake choosing her. Don't disappear again." Another one. "Come over tonight. I'm done pretending." I stared at the screen, stunned. I called Megan immediately. "Where did you get this?" She said, "He sent it last night. While his wife was missing." I whispered, "Send it to Ashley." Megan replied, "Already did." That's when Alan Carter, Ashley's father, called me. I answered, unsure what he wanted. He said, "Where's my daughter?" I answered carefully, "With Faith." His voice shook, not with sadness but with anger. "I put a lot of money into that boy's company. Now folks are saying he's losing everything. What did he do?" I said, "Ask him." Alan muttered, "I will." The next call was from Mom. "Hayden, get home now. We're having a family meeting." Her voice was tight, scared. I drove over, my heart pounding. When I walked into the living room, Ashley was already there, sitting on the couch between Faith and Mom. Dad stood in the corner, arms crossed. Aiden paced the floor, red-faced, glaring at all of us. He pointed at me the moment I stepped in. "You. This is your fault." I said, "What is?" "You turned her against me," he yelled. Ashley whispered, "No, he didn't." Aiden spun toward her. "Shut up. You don't know what you're saying." She flinched, but Faith held her hand. "She knows exactly what she's saying," Faith snapped. Dad stepped forward. "Aiden, sit down." "No," Aiden shouted. "I want answers. Why is she leaving me?" Ashley lifted her head slowly. "Because you broke me." He laughed harshly. "I gave you a house, a life, everything your little schoolteacher salary couldn't give." Ashley shook her head. "You gave me fear." Mom gasped. "Fear?" Ashley swallowed hard. "He throws things, Sandra. He screams. He calls me useless. He told me he never loved me." Aiden's voice cracked. "You're lying." "She's lying." Faith stood up. "You think we didn't see your text to Megan?" His face drained. "What texts?" Dad held up printed screenshots. "These." Aiden lunged forward. "Those are fake." "They came from your number," Dad said quietly. Ashley whispered, "You begged her not to leave you. You told her you loved her the night after you proposed to me." "I didn't mean it," he snapped. "She's nothing." "And what am I?" Ashley asked. He didn't answer. His silence was the loudest thing in the room. Mom covered her mouth, crying. "Aiden, how could you?" Aiden glared at me again. "This is his doing. He wants you. He's always wanted you." I said calmly, "This isn't about me." "The hell it isn't," he shouted. "You're stealing my wife." Ashley stood up. "You ruined our marriage. Hayden didn't do anything but help me breathe." He laughed bitterly. "Oh, I bet he helped you breathe." I stepped forward. "Don't talk to her like that." Aiden pushed me. "You want to fight? Let's fight." Dad grabbed him. "Enough." But Aiden wasn't listening. "You always envied me," he snarled. "You want my life, my success, my woman." I want none of this, I said. Ashley whispered. He never wanted me. You barely looked at me. Aiden scoffed. You were a business deal. Your dad's money saved my company. Be grateful I even took you. Ashley's knees buckled, but Faith caught her. I felt something inside me break open into rage. Mom sobbed, Aiden, stop. But Ashley wiped her tears and stepped forward. Her voice was shaky but strong. You broke me long before I walked away. Aiden froze. You broke me, she repeated. You broke my trust, my peace, my confidence, my heart. And now you're breaking yourself. Dad stepped between them. She's done, son. Let her go. Aiden looked around the room, at the screenshots, at Ashley crying, at our parents' disappointment. Then he stared at me with pure hatred. You'll regret this, he whispered. No, I said quietly. I won't. For the first time in years, I saw something I never expected in Aiden's eyes: fear. He stormed out of the house, slamming the door so hard it rattled the walls. Mom collapsed onto the couch, crying. Dad held her. Faith hugged Ashley tightly while Ashley whispered, It's over, it's finally over. Ashley looked up at me with tired eyes. Thank you for standing there. I didn't do anything, I said. She shook her head. You breathed for me when I couldn't. And for the first time since everything began, I felt like I could breathe too. Her question I feared most. I hadn't seen Ashley for a few weeks. Faith kept texting me updates like, she's eating better, or she slept a full night. I'd type replies like, good, or glad to hear, but my chest twisted every time. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel anymore. Relief? Fear? Both? One afternoon, Ashley finally called. Her voice was soft. Can we meet? Somewhere quiet. I said, name the place, and she whispered, the little diner off Highway 12. My stomach flipped, but I told her I'd be there. When I walked in, she was already sitting in a booth, hands wrapped around a mug. She looked healthier, calmer. When she saw me, she gave a small smile. Hey, I said, sliding in across from her. You doing okay? She let out a breath. Better than before. Fate's been good to me. That's good, I said. You deserve peace. The waitress walked by and asked if I wanted anything. I shook my head and Ashley whispered, You sure? I'm fine, I said. What's on your mind? She hesitated, fingers tightening around her mug. I've wanted to ask you something for a while. Ask, I said, even though my pulse jumped. She swallowed. Did you hate me? For choosing him? The question hit harder than I expected. I leaned back, staring at the table. No, I said. I hated myself more. She frowned. Yourself? Yeah, I whispered. I hated that I didn't fight for you. I hated that I stayed quiet. I hated that I let you slip into a life that hurt you. Her eyes welled up instantly. Hayden? I shook my head. You didn't betray me. I betrayed myself. And I'm still trying to forgive that. A tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it quickly. I was scared. You know that, right? I wasn't choosing love. I was choosing what everyone told me was right. I know, I said softly. I know now. And I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. I sighed. Ashley, I don't want you apologizing for years. Then what do you want me to do? She asked, voice breaking. I paused, unsure. Heal, I said finally. What? Breathe. Let yourself be whole again. She looked down at her hands. I'm trying. I can see that, I said. A long moment passed between us. It wasn't awkward, just heavy. Honest. Then she whispered the words that made my chest tighten. Can we start again? I stared at her. She didn't look desperate. She didn't look lost. She looked hopeful, quietly hopeful, like she was offering me something fragile. Ashley, my voice shook. I don't want to repeat what broke us. We won't, she said quickly. I'm different now. Stronger. And you're not the same either. That's true, I said. But that scares me too. She nodded, eyes soft. I don't want an answer today. I just needed you to know how I feel. I looked at her, really looked at her. The girl who once chose fear over love was gone. The woman sitting in front of me was someone fighting to rebuild herself. I need time, I said quietly. Not because I don't care, but because I care too damn much. Her lip trembled, but she smiled. I can wait. You shouldn't have to, I said. I want to, she replied. For once in my life. I want to choose something because I feel it. Not because someone told me to. Her hand moved across the table, slow, unsure, until her fingers brushed mine. It wasn't a grab or a plea. Just a touch. A soft reminder of everything we were and everything we might still be. My breath caught. "Hayden?" she whispered. "Yeah. That night I showed up at your door, it wasn't weakness. It was the first brave thing I'd done." I swallowed hard. "I know. And being here now," she said, "asking you this? It's the second." I turned my palm upward, letting her fingers rest in mine. "Then maybe I can be brave too." Her voice softened. "Does that mean?" "It means," I interrupted, "that this feels like the start of something honest. Something real. Something we don't have to rush." She breathed out a shaky laugh. "I'll take that. Even if it's slow." "Slow is good," I said. "Slow means we're doing it right." The waitress came by again, glanced at our joined hands, and smiled like she'd been watching the whole time. Ashley laughed quietly, wiping her face. "Sorry for crying." "Don't be," I said. "You're allowed." When we finally stood to leave, Ashley squeezed my hand gently. "Thank you for giving us a chance. Even if it's just a small one." I nodded. "One step at a time." As she walked to her car, she glanced back and smiled, soft, genuine, hopeful. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself hope too. The man I'm becoming. I woke up the next morning feeling different, lighter somehow. I didn't know if it was because Ashley and I finally talked honestly, or because I was tired of dragging my old pain around. Either way, I decided something had to change. So I started small. I signed up for early morning workouts at the community gym. The trainer laughed when I said I hadn't lifted anything heavier than a tire in months. "You'll be fine," he said. "Pain builds muscle." I muttered, "Hope it builds a new life too," and he chuckled like he knew exactly what I meant. After work, I took online training courses for new auto shop certifications. Ryan walked in one evening and stared at my laptop. "Who are you and what did you do with Hayden?" he joked. I said, "Trying to level up," and he grinned. "About damn time. I'm proud of you." Hearing that felt better than I expected. Sarah noticed the changes too. One afternoon she leaned on the counter and said, "You seem calmer?" I shrugged. "Just tired of being stuck." She smiled. "Well, you look good unstuck." I laughed. "Thanks." She added quietly, "I hope you're doing this for you, not for anyone else." I told her, "I am. For the first time I am." She nodded like she believed me. Ashley texted sometimes. Nothing heavy. Just gentle things like, "Good morning. Hope work goes well." Or, "Saw a pretty sunset. Thought you'd like it." I'd reply with simple messages and she never pushed for more. It felt strange, peaceful. Like we were learning how to live without pressing old wounds. One evening Dad called me over. When I arrived, Mom hugged me tightly. "Your brother left town?" she whispered. I pulled back. "Left?" Dad nodded. "Packed up. Didn't tell us where he was going. Said he needed a fresh start." I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel relief. I just felt done. Mom touched my arm. "I'm sorry for everything you carried." I said softly, "I'm letting it go." Dad squeezed my shoulder like he'd been waiting years to hear that. Back at my apartment, I fixed a loose floorboard, repainted the wall I always ignored, and opened the windows to let the warm Tennessee air fill the room. For the first time, it felt like a space I wanted to live in, not hide in. I sat on the edge of my cot, no, my new bed, the one I finally bought, and whispered to myself, "This is what starting over feels like." My phone buzzed. "Ashley again. Hope today was good to you." I stared at the message, smiled, and replied it was. "I'm learning how to breathe again." She sent back a simple heart. Not a request. Not a plea. Just a quiet presence. I leaned back, listening to the fan hum overhead. No ache in my chest. No weight on my shoulders. No fear of what came next. For the first time in years, I felt free. Our second chance starts here. I wasn't expecting to see her that day. I only went to the Nashville bookstore because Ryan said, "Go buy something that isn't a wrench," and I figured he was right. I was flipping through a shelf when I heard a soft voice behind me say, "Hayden?" I turned and there she was, Ashley. She looked different. Not broken. Not scared. Just peaceful. Her hair was tied loosely, her eyes brighter, her posture steady. She smiled. "It's really you." I smiled back. "Yeah, I'm here. Didn't think I'd see you today." She laughed gently. "Faith said I needed a hobby. Reading felt safer than dating." "That's fair," I said. "Books don't yell." She nodded. "Or throw lamps." We both laughed softly. It wasn't forced. It wasn't awkward. It was warm, like something old waking back up. She stepped closer. "How have you been?" "Better," I said. Working out. Learning new stuff at the shop. Fixing up my place. She smiled. I'm proud of you. You look different. Happier. I feel different, I said. Feels weird but good. She held a book tightly in her hands. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. But I didn't want to interrupt your healing. You wouldn't have interrupted anything, I said gently. She lowered her eyes. I didn't know if I had the right. You don't need permission to talk to me, I said. You never did. She let out a slow breath. Then I'll say it. I'm ready. My heart jumped. Ready for what? She looked up, eyes steady. Ready for us. If you still want that. I went silent for a moment, not because I didn't know the answer but because I wanted to feel it fully. She whispered, if you say no, I'll understand. I won't break. I just wanted you to know I'm here. I stepped closer. Ashley, I don't want to go back to who we were. That version of us hurt too much. I know, she said. That's why I want something new. From the ground up. I gently took her hand. I'm not the broken kid you walked away from. She squeezed my fingers. And I'm not the girl who let everyone else choose for her. We stood there quietly in the bookstore aisle, holding each other's hands like we were afraid to break the moment. She whispered, so what do you want, Hayden? I want something real, I said. Not perfect. Not rushed. Just real. She nodded. Truth? Truth, I said. Respect, she asked. As long as I'm breathing. And love, she whispered. I smiled softly. I can give love. I just can't lose myself again. You won't, she said quickly. I won't let you. I felt something lift inside me, something heavy I'd carried for too long. I said, then maybe this is our second chance. Not maybe, she whispered. It is. She leaned her forehead against mine, not asking for a kiss, not rushing anything, just resting there like she belonged again. I closed my eyes and breathed her in, calm, warm, steady. Hayden, she murmured. Yeah. Thank you for letting me come back. I shook my head. You didn't just come back to me. She pulled back slightly, confused. What do you mean? I smiled. You came back to the man I became. Her eyes softened. And I like him. A lot. I squeezed her hand. Then let's start slow. She smiled. Slow is perfect. We walked out of the bookstore together, fingers intertwined. No fear, no shame, no ghosts behind us. Just two people choosing each other for the right reasons. Our second chance didn't start with a confession or a kiss. It started with quiet hope, steady hands, and the simple truth between us. This time, we both choose love without losing ourselves.